Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mindful Corner.
We usually have a more conversational podcast nature, but today we're going to do a sort of Q&A interview style episode. Anna's feeling a little bit under the weather, unfortunately, so she'll be the interviewer, and she'll be asking me some questions, and I'll sort of take the lead with most of the talking this episode. We've wanted to do this for some time, though, anyways, and it's a really great opportunity for me to open up specifically about my OCD. So without further ado, let's get started.
So what is OCD and when were you diagnosed?
Yeah, so OCD is an anxiety disorder that, according to the Mayo Clinic, elicits patterns of unwanted thoughts and fears known as obsessions, hence the obsessive part of OCD. Again, it stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. I've said it in previous episodes, but just to reiterate. And these thoughts may cause behaviors to counteract them, and these are known as compulsions, which goes with the compulsive part of OCD. And I was diagnosed the summer before my senior year of high school, and subsequently began going to therapy to help fight back and practicing sort of ways and methods to, again, like I said, fight back against those unwanted thoughts and compulsions. And I'll go into more of those a little bit later, but my OCD kind of started in a kind of an unorthodox way, I'd say. Like OCD, most people think of it as something having to do with germs and organization, but for me, it disguised itself almost as anorexia. I did actually have anorexia, but the way I had it, I mean, actually most people that have anorexia are the same way, but it just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like once I recovered from anorexia, the obsession with restricting myself turned into more of something characteristic with OCD. That makes sense. So most people, once they recover from anorexia, I mean, sometimes they struggle with, those same food related things, but mine sort of switched themes per se and went more into OCD. And then that's when I was subsequently diagnosed.
That's interesting. So would you say like your OCD was being like shown to you through like the anorexia kind of?
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like it was. I think my whole life I struggled with body image and just this obsession with the way my body looked. And so that kind of turned into, what they saw as anorexia. But really, for me, I honestly just think it was my OCD all along.
It was like the obsession of wanting to look a certain way.
Exactly.
Compulsion is like restricting yourself?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it was. And that happened, that lasted for a while. I think I kind of went back and forth throughout middle school. There was periods where I'd gain weight and then periods where I'd lose a lot of weight. And the worst it got was my junior year of high school when I lost just a substantial amount of weight in a short period of time, and it just became very noticeable. Like I looked, not even just by the way I looked, I was at a healthy weight for maybe someone else, but for my body and for my, my stance as an athlete at the time and as someone who was always, at lacrosse practice or working out, it was not healthy to be at the weight I was and to be eating the amount that I was. And despite this, I continued to restrict myself, to freak out if I didn't know how many chips I had in one sitting, and to just, I would literally have panic attacks if I didn't know how much I was eating in a day. Like I was on these calorie restricting apps, MyFitnessPal, all these things, tracking everything obsessively.
Like not of a healthy way, like you were just,
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought of it that way, because you always like hear like eating disorder and you think it's just one kind of thing, but I guess it can stem from other
I think disorders. It definitely overlaps, and that's something that when you're looking into eating disorders, maybe you can look into and see maybe this person does have OCD tendencies, and that can be the real root, I'd say. I think the root for me was that I just had this obsessive personality, and that when I get addicted to doing something, it's very hard to let go. It becomes something that I need to do. By the way, we're outside, so if you hear birds, I know we're in a peaceful. Yeah, we're gonna try to do this more often because it's super peaceful.
Yes. So yeah. Coming off of like your, I guess, channeling your like anorexia. I don't want to say that, but channeling the obsession of food, I guess I should say. So what are other like OCD themes that you just either experienced or like know about?
Yeah, going back to that summer before my senior year, once I actually recovered, per se, from anorexia, and once I was able to eat normally again and feel more food freedom and eat more intuitively, I kind of switched over to a different theme that, again, like I said before, was more characteristic with the general OCD that you see people have. And that was really with germs. I was very into sanitizing everything, especially my hands, always. Like, I felt like everything I touched was dirty, and that it was my responsibility to keep myself clean for the sake of others and just for my self-image. It really became something that deteriorated just my mental well-being. That summer, like once I had recovered from OCD, the rest of the summer, I just spent constantly being put down and feeling so like just haunted by these thoughts, like you're unclean, you are dirty, like everything you touch is unclean, like you're not doing enough to protect yourself and others. And that was really, you know, when my therapist realized that I had OCD. So I was diagnosed with OCD later in the summer after I had recovered from anorexia. And then that carried on into my senior year of high school. And that was pretty much the theme that lasted that whole year, I'd say. There was a period too that I began overeating, and I'd say that was kind of an obsession with food in a way, as comfort, which I wouldn't see necessarily as OCD, but honestly it kind of was. I mean, my obsession was to seek some sort of fulfillment, and the compulsion was to eat, to, you know, relieve that. So, and it's like sometimes, honestly, like OCD can be applied to a lot of things. It doesn't mean you have the disorder. For me, it's an extreme for me, and it requires just a lot of therapy and, you know, medication to deal with. But for other people, I think you can have or actions that you do that are, you know, that align with OCD. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And
yeah, I was gonna say, a lot of the things you're describing, like, I feel like I've experienced too. So maybe OCD is more common than we realize, or like maybe there's, I don't know, I'm not a mental health professional. No, I know, but maybe there's like different levels of it. Yeah, in a way, like like, for sure. Because I mean, dealing with obsessive thoughts, I feel like OCD is an anxiety disorder. So it is, I feel like, it kind of an anxiety, but I feel like the compulsion but the compulsions that come with it are what kind of lean towards like OCD versus just like general anxiety. I don't know.
I agree, yeah. I definitely agree. I think a person, it's very normal to have an intrusive thought, like the ones that I would have are very normal to, you know, feel grossed out by something. But with me, it was like I couldn't get over it. Like I would feel guilty for so long.
Or if you're like scrubbing your hands every 5 seconds. Like,
it was like
that, to the point where if your skin's dry. I mean, I'm not saying it has happened to you, but like I'm not calling your skin dry now. I'm just saying like, if like you're doing it to the point that it's harming you, then it's not. I would say that's probably more OCD. I mean, that's what that's what I'm hearing you say, but I'm just trying to understand. So yeah,
it definitely becomes just a cycle. So yeah, and then with that, after my senior year, the summer before my first year of college was when I started to see different themes that were very strange. Like, I wouldn't say strange. People deal with these all the time, and I didn't realize it because I wasn't, you know, online and I wasn't researching it, but it became themes like, I'll read this quote from the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. And it says, contrary to popular belief, OCD is about more than just germs or organization. Taboo themes come up often. And so this article lists a few examples, and that includes religious OCD, harm OCD, pedophilic OCD, and so many more that are just so, like, you wouldn't even think about. But
what do they mean by that? Like, religious OCD? Like, that seems so, like, I've never heard of this.
With religious OCD, I'll go to this article. It does a really good job of explaining them. And these are definitely subtypes of OCD that I have experienced at some point, without even realizing. And it gives some prompts, like some things that you might experience if you have this subtype or you're dealing with that theme in the moment. And it's like, what if I've sinned and I didn't realize it? And you kind of, you know, that thought just keeps pushing your mind, or like, did I do something that angered a higher power, or will I spend eternity somewhere I don't want to if I laughed during like a service? Like, these are great examples because honestly,
that makes sense. For some reason I was thinking like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. It does sound weird if you don't explain it. And then with harm OCD, it's like, this one I definitely dealt with a lot, especially when I started driving long distances. It was like, it just started coming up more for some reason. It seems like when changes happen in your life, or when there's people or things that you care about a lot, that's what OCD attacks. And I mean, actually, that's not what it seems like. That's what it is. OCD attacks the things you love most. So if you're dealing with that, you can at least be assured that if your OCD is attacking something, that means at least you care about it.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that can give you. I mean,
and to me, that was reassuring.
Yeah, that can be a way to like know what you care about and what like you want to work on. You know, if you're feeling so anxious about one thing, it's like, okay, well, that means I care. Right. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's so interesting. I never thought. So I've heard of like on TikTok. Okay, TikTok's where I get all my information, whatever. But I've heard like relationship OCD is like a thing, and I mean, I didn't self-diagnose it, but I was like, I mean, I've kind of had that kind of obsessive thought of like, what if I'm not a good enough partner? Like, what if I did something to anger my partner? Like, that could be
for sure. Yeah. And relationship OCD is probably one of the biggest ones in my life. Again, you know, OCD will attack things you care about most. So when it sorry, Life 360.
Somebody left the house.
Yeah. When I began my relationship, it wasn't really like a thing, but as I got deeper into it, it just kind of got progressively worse. For me, it sort of appeared when I would interact with other people, with other males. It was like, are you attracted to him? Like did you
am I cheating? I didn't even know I cheated.
Yes, exactly. That's what I would deal with, and it was antagonizing. It was horrible. It like puts you down so much, and there would be days where I just didn't even want to be around anyone because I would feel so awful about myself. I was like, I'm just such a cheater. Like
if you talk to another guy, or
or even just like acknowledge that someone's attractive, and you know, I just think it's just so crazy. It's like it really puts you down and makes you feel like the absolute worst, and really, again, like I said, just antagonizes you. And that was definitely, I mean, I still deal with it to this day. Medication, and again, so many other things have helped, but it's definitely a theme that people don't think about. But and for me, it was like a cycle. Like maybe for you, like you've had the thoughts before, but for me, it was like it was just a constant loop. Like if I had one intrusive thought, it would just lead to a billion more, and to a billion compulsions to deal with it. Like maybe repeating my boyfriend's name, or avoiding. I was ask what the compulsions were avoiding eye contact with other guys. You know, especially when I started college, I was super afraid of just interacting with any other people, or like just guys, and having any thoughts. So I would just kind of, you know, that definitely led to a lot of loneliness because I was scared to, you know, go out and interact. I was honest. I had this.
Is that a compulsion, like staying home?
Yeah, I definitely say it was. I would say I was not inclined to go out and do things, just because I was scared of like just an OCD attack. Like it was almost like this anticipatory fear, like this fear of like OCD happening, and that's something I deal with sometimes too. I'll just be afraid of the future, and like, what if like I hit the worst OCD attack I've ever had? Like, what if this is not like the worst it gets? What if it just gets worse from here?
So you can have OCD about your OCD.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
This is
it's so interesting.
It's a vicious cycle. It's sounds
a vicious cycle.
There's so many different I guess it can take different themes in your life. I never really realized that. Like, I know I've heard of relationship one, or like the typical like washing your hands all the time, or like I used to watch like BuzzFeed videos all the time.
Oh my gosh, me too. They're so good.
But like they were pretty informative, and it was saying like it was like doing like an inner monologue of somebody with OCD, and they were like turning off the lights 5 times, or else their whole family was gonna die. Like, that is like, it's such like a far away.
Yeah,
like,
and I totally forgot to mention this.
Like that could happen.
Right. Yeah, I totally forgot to mention this, but this is super important too. But I think it can definitely be recognized in childhood, and hopefully we can do a better job of figuring it out, because I wish I knew that I had OCD and could have, you know, faced it earlier on, because when I was a kid, I had those similar experiences. Like I needed to do things to, or I don't know, I guess it wasn't OCD, but I definitely had deep fears of like my parents dying.
It could be like starting your OCD. Low-key, I had the same thing, not to like completely take it away from you, but I used to like be so scared that my house was gonna get robbed, and I would I would like watch my parents lock the door, and I would like push it like 10 times before, and I have to check it like 10 times before I went to sleep.
Oh yeah, and see, I'm saying, and it's like so many people deal with these behaviors, and yeah, I'm not saying that I have it the worst, because I'm sure everyone's experience with it is different.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I just think it's like, there's just a big umbrella with mental health disorders, and it's like you can experience all the different like parts of it at some point. And I think OCD is definitely under that umbrella. I think.
Yeah, because it's close to anxiety, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think what we were saying earlier, like the compulsions are like what distinguishes it, I feel like.
For sure. For sure. So, yeah. And then just going back to the themes, there, again, are so many. I'll touch in on another one that it's mentioned in the article, which is pedophilic OCD. And
right, I was going to ask about that, but I didn't know how to bring it up. I'm like, what does that mean? Like,
yeah.
Please explain.
It's just this, like, fear of being a pedophile, essentially. Like, I mean, it's pretty much what it means. And this is something I definitely not wanted to open up about, but that's definitely been one of the themes in my life. I believe the summer before college, it got pretty bad. I was just really afraid of, like, being around children. Like, if I ever looked at one for too long, like, or if I had a compulsion that was weird, like, it was just, like, I would just overthink about it. So one of the compulsions was, like, to just kind of stay away from kids, or, like, kind of just not even, like, touch them, like
interact with them.
Yeah, and I used to teach children's church and babysit, and I was like, I just love being around kids. Like, they're just so cute. Like,
yeah, but your brain was telling you that maybe you would cross a line. That
yeah, exactly. Or like
something like that.
You call a kid cute, and you're like, wait, no, but I didn't mean it like that. And just things like that. And then OCD will cause a spiral. Like, what do you mean by cute? Like, and just kind of checking. A lot of OCD is checking behaviors, looking back in the past and making sure that what you thought was morally correct. It wasn't like anything crazy. So that's definitely one of the things I do a lot, is I'll check and I'll make sure that I didn't do, feel, or like say something weird. And so I catch myself doing it a lot to this day still. Fortunately, therapy has also helped me get through this, and I've been able to go back to babysitting. It was just a theme at some point in my life, so definitely wanted to touch on that.
So interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, a lot of people, like surprisingly a lot of people, at least I've kind of delved into some research on OCD myself in the media, and I've seen that a lot of people do deal with it, which
makes sense.
Yeah.
It seems like something people deal with. I just never really heard of it. I mean, especially because there's so much like craziness in the world. Like, it doesn't surprise me that people would get so anxious about that.
Right.
Because it's a huge issue.
Right. It is a huge issue, and it's just so sad that OCD twists it and makes you believe that
it
about
makes
yourself.
like a norm. I don't want to say normal, because what is normal?
Yeah.
But like a not pedophile.
Yeah.
Feel like a pedophile. And that's really not a good thing to think you are. And it's not a good thing you want to.
It really, yeah.
I don't think people want to go around thinking that they're a pedophile, because
OCD
I feel like that's a crazy, like...
No, I know. OCD really dehumanizes you. I've thought of myself as a cheater, a pedophile, a killer, just so many...
mean things.
Like, really aggressive things. And to think that way about yourself, it's a vicious cycle. And it causes so many more other, like, mental health symptoms, I guess. Like, I've had periods of depression because I felt so low about myself that I've like just not wanted to leave my bed, not wanted to do anything, because like, who am I? Like, I'm not worthy to do anything. And so
wow, yeah. So with these taboo themes, like, what are ways that you combat it? Because it sounds like this journey started for you your junior year of high school, so now you're almost a sophomore in college. So like, how do you combat it? I know. I know. I saw some. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But my brother and I just went to the pool. We were walking back, and these two little like jits were walking back, and they're like, "Hey, you got $5? I need Chipotle," and it made me feel so old because they're asking the adults if they have money. So I feel that like growing old, anxiety with that.
Right.
So yeah, how have you combated it since then and now?
Yeah, I'd say the number one thing for me has been just my faith. That's been like the biggest savior in just times of despair. It's been like just realizing who I am, and like that these things, like thoughts and like these feelings, whatever it is, like my OCD does not define me, and like these thoughts do not define me whatsoever. And like, I'm a child of God. Like, I'm just, these things are not like gonna mark me forever. And like, Jesus died on the cross for a reason. Like, all those OCD thoughts and horrible things that I've been calling myself, like, that can hang on the cross with him and just like be gone. Like, I can move on and live my life, and these things don't have to mark me forever. So that's definitely just reinforcing positive thinking, especially when it comes to my faith, has been the most pivotal thing. And it's hard to remember sometimes, but being consistent with it has truly been a lifesaver and truly moved me away from those just feeling so down. And then with that, I believe therapy has helped me a lot. Going to therapy, there's a specific kind of therapy that people with OCD will go to. It's called ERP, and let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. Isn't it saying, exposure and response prevention therapy, according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America article. This is the therapy I've been doing recently, and what it is just exposing yourself to these fears, and like, not obviously there's some that you can't, like with pedophilic OCD, you can't go out and do something crazy, but
right. Yeah.
So for those, it's kind of more thoughts, curating scripts, curating maybe even showing just pictures, whatever it is, things so that you face your fear. Like, it's very hands-on. It's like surprisingly but it's surprisingly super beneficial.
It's like exercises.
Yeah, it's exercises, and some of them you do on your own. Like some of them for me, I get a lot of OCD watching movies. Like if a weird thought comes up when I'm watching a movie, like I immediately have to shut it off, and I can't watch anymore. And so
that's healthy.
Yeah, and so the exposure for that would be to watch that movie fully, to feel all that anxiety, and to watch it over and over again until it's
so
like
you sit with the anxiety and you realize, like,
yes, exactly,
it's okay to feel this way.
Yes,
nothing
exactly.
bad's gonna happen.
Right, exactly. So that's been the most super beneficial. I totally recommend ERP therapy. Some other exercises have been, like the germ fear still comes up, just being gross. It's definitely not as extreme as it was. I don't wash my hands as much. They're not, bleeding right now. But like sometimes when I'd be walking outside, if I stepped on something gross, like I would feel so disgusted, and I'd have to, clean off my shoes when I got home. And my therapist was just like, look down at the ground, walk all the way back to your dorm, and don't wash off your shoes. Just don't even like deal with it. And it's like, wow, doing that was really hard, but it really it gets you over that fear. It's like you will hit a peak of the fear. Like that's the scary part, knowing that you are going to feel that fear. But once you get over it, you're like, it wasn't that bad. And then you
feel stronger after.
You do feel stronger.
Like, I just got through this
fear
that's been holding you down.
Yes, and you feel like you can do it again. And every single time, as you feel more and more confident, instead of having a fear of doing it, like you'll just be able to do it. If that makes any sense. It just kind of breaks the cycle and makes it, I wouldn't even say it's a cycle anymore. It just, you're not constantly just in this loop of like, am I a bad person? Like, should I do this? It's just, it becomes like, I can do something without overthinking the moral repercussions of it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Yes, exactly.
Like, eventually, I mean, I don't know where you are in your therapy yet. Mm-hmm. We can discuss that. But just like eventually you'll just do stuff and you won't have that fear.
Right.
And it's like going to be so freeing,
Yeah, and you asked like where I am in my therapy. I definitely say with like germs and washing my hands, I've gotten so much better. I mean,
so good.
There's still obviously always room for growth, and I wouldn't say I'm back to the way I was when I was like a child, when I didn't know it all. But honestly, at that point, I don't even know. It feels like those thoughts had never come up anyways. So I just like, I feel like there'll always be a little bit maybe of like tension, because I've just...
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's always like going to be a struggle. I think I've talked about this earlier episodes.
Yeah.
Like, it's always going to be, not always, I don't want to sound discouraging, but it will be something you have to work towards for a while, and that's okay. But the fact that you made so much progress so fast, I think that's really
It's very
admirable.
encouraging. And talking with my therapist, she did say a lot of big misconception in the media and just among professionals is that like OCD, like once you have it, you'll never recover, and that's just not true. You'll learn ways to combat it, and of course you're gonna have intrusive thoughts like a lot of other people do, but instead of dealing with it in a way that a person with OCD does, like all the ways to combat the thought and just let it go. And that's been the biggest thing, to give like a third way that I've dealt with my OCD, is just letting things go right away. Instead of dwelling on my thoughts, and instead of, going into the spiral, I just let it go immediately and don't let it become a thing.
Like, just have the thought and then move on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's been honestly just one of the biggest things, just moving on, and sometimes just telling myself, oh, I'm just going to save it for later, and never coming back to it. And then you really just...
Put it in a drawer.
And just put it away. Like, imagine, like, there's an analogy that's used a lot for these thoughts, and it's just like, imagine like it's like a cloud passing, and it just goes, it just comes in and out, and like that's it. Like you don't have to dwell on it. Like the cloud does not stay in your mind.
Right, the cloud's gone.
Yes, exactly. And with things staying in your mind, another way to combat OCD is with journaling. Just getting the thoughts out and those, those fears out on paper instead of letting them all sit in your mind. I am so bad about journaling. I'm going to try to start, but honestly, whenever I have at least written down thoughts, it really is helpful to get these fears and just unwanted thoughts out of my mind and onto paper, and then it's like it's out there, it's out of just this, it's not cluttered in your mind, and there's more room for you to breathe and think and be rational.
That's helped me with like my sleeping issues. If like I'm overthinking, not even like writing down on paper, but like in my notes app, just like typing it or anywhere. Like it doesn't have to be glamorous, but just like writing it down, it's really, like
it could be chicken scratch, or you can draw. I mean, sometimes like some of the most therapeutic things for me is to just like
draw, scribble. I've done
scribble,
that. I've just like done a big huge swirl.
Yeah, just color. And then again, just getting those thoughts out. It really does help. So yeah,
for sure.
We hope this episode for anyone, and especially those that are struggling with OCD or anything similar, can help. We will provide OCD resources in the description of this video, so feel free to check those out. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about OCD, concerns, or if you just need any sort of support in general. Anything. Just, you can DM us at Mindful Corner Podcast on Instagram, or you can email us at mindfulcornerpodcast@gmail.com. We're very grateful for our listeners and for all the people that are involved with Mindful Corner. And yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes. We'll see you next episode. Bye.